Hello, everyone, and welcome to another meeting of the Black Sessions. Today, we are discussing episode 5, season 4, I think. It's called Men Against Fire. At least I know the title. So this was, I think, for me, this is the most unique Black Mirror episode. It was about technology, but it was a lot different to other episodes. We don't have characters here. I mean, we do, of course, but it's not about the characters. It's not about their stories. It's about ideas, I think. So this was, I think, more than a regular episode. It would be like maybe a proclamation of principles of the director, maybe like trying to be very clear on what he understands by the dangers or the possible threats of technology. And these threats were very likely. I think that this is one of those episodes where we are really, really not that far from that reality. It's not that much of a distant reality. So I would like to start by hearing your opinions on how you felt with the episode, if you liked it, what was your favorite part, general ideas. We want to start with Felipe. Felipe, would you like to begin sharing your thoughts?
Okay, thank you. Hi everyone. I think that most like Black Mirror episodes, technology is only a way to potentiate our human nature. Maybe we don't need technology in this episode to show what what the main idea is. Uh, I think that's the point. That technology on itself it's nothing, but we humans are the ones that use them in a certain way. And I really like this episode because I think it touches some themes. At first, I thought it was maybe a critique against war culture,
Yeah.
like I know they use a flag like with a V, but we we know that maybe it's North America, the country that is most uh,
Maybe. Just maybe.
associated with, even if they didn't put the flags. But at first, I thought it was maybe that kind of conception, which is interesting in when we think about United States. But then it at the end of the episode, it explained like, for example, the own villagers of this foreign country were of the same thought as them. So I think that the idea is that when we have some extreme views of the world, us of how the world should be and what measures we should take, uh, it's very different when you have to actually do it.
Yes.
I think that in social media we there's many thoughts about extreme solutions to many problems, but it's very different when you are able to do so by yourself.
Yes. To apply justice on with your own hands. So yeah, I there were many ideas. Where can I begin with everything you said? But yeah, I think that it was a very good episode, or that the director was definitely trying to show that definitely the problem is not technology, the problem is us. They never it was nothing made by a software programming you. It was just your own decisions. And yeah, at the ending is something interesting. I think we should discuss too. What is the idea they are showing us with this dreamed reality or something similar? It reminded me a little bit of the former episode where the guy inserted the tip, remember? And at the end of the episode he broke up with his wife and all that, but he was imagining his life in his former house with his family. So this was something similar to, like, you could decide to see the reality you choose or the actual reality. So yeah, thank you, Felipe, as usual. We are going now to Paola. Paola, I would like to start by you hearing your reflections on the episode. Sorry.
I saw this episode the last week,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I tried to remember.
My fault.
No, it's okay. I'm very like this episode. I feel is less, no sé decir angustia.
Anguish es anguish, pero no sé si angustiante se puede decir anguishing.
But
Any help? Anybody else?
I feel less anguish.
Anxious,
Anxious could be, yeah, but it could be anxious or desperate. Maybe.
Okay, desperate. Yeah, I feel less desperate. No lo sé decir. Desperate. And when I saw, it was rare because the subject in this chapter, I think, is very complex. I think the more interesting is the concept of group cleaning. That
the concept of group. How? What? Sorry. The concept
group
of
cleaning.
Group cleaning.
Uh-huh.
Like yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
Because in the chapter, the boss of war or military boss.
Military boss. I like it like that.
I don't know.
Military boss.
General,
yeah, I don't even know his
general.
rank. But whatever. Colonel, general, who cares? Military boss.
And the boss are a civil, maybe, and the psychologist.
Sorry, I couldn't understand you.
Solo just the boss,
yeah.
or the psychologist in the chapter.
Yeah.
He said to the principal character that they are doing blood cleaning because they need to clean the war of disease and disabilities.
Yeah, these monsters. They were like monsters, like zombies.
Estos
Characters?
No, ellos hablan de cucarachas, pero no sé.
Yeah. Cockroach. No, cockroach, something like that, right?
Cockroach.
Roaches. Yeah.
Roaches. Thanks. And these roaches, and I think this is the other form of racism.
Yeah.
Or a set of poor blood, like Nazi.
Yeah, it also reminded me of Hitler at the same time when he was speaking. It was like reading Mein Kampf. But yeah. Sorry, Paula. You have
no, and I really enjoy this chapter, and I think the subject is ethical complex,
Yeah.
and I feel touch me directly. As
Thank you very much, Miss. Yeah, so why would you say that you feel touched by the episode?
because I live with a disability, a visual disability, and I have a genetic disease,
Yeah.
and it touched me directly.
You thought that, yeah, in a scenario like this, you could be identified. Even us, I think
Claro.
it's more than just disability.
Probably all.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be any of us, because at the same time, of course, it's more likely in the case with disabilities. But technically, what they're doing here, I think, is convincing you that someone is disabled or someone is different just because. There was not necessarily they were totally different. They were the same people just like you and me, and they were identified as roaches. So it could be, of course, it could be, or it's normal that these groups attack the minorities or more like in need people. But it could, I think the idea here is to say that it could be anyone. It's just convincing someone that, like it happened with the Jews and the Nazis. Like the Jews and the Nazis were the same. They grew up in the same country, in the same land, same thing, and they convinced the people that they were different. Maybe they are. No, we don't know. I'm kidding.
And in this world, the technology facilities, no sé.
Facility? Yes.
Facility for military,
Yeah.
the word for military,
Yes.
because get out, no sé decir sacar.
It depends. Tell me the sentence and I can help you.
Como que les quita el peso de la ética.
Yeah. It takes away the moral.
It takes away moral.
Yeah.
Things.
Moral weight or moral. It takes away like the moral. I don't know how to say that. But it gets your idea. Thank you so much, Paula. I would like to continue with Vicente. Vicente, what about you? What are your thoughts on the episode?
Hello. To me, I just watched it, by the way. Just like
yeah. You're still processing
before the class, so I remember the words like really accurately so far. To me, the episode, I think my answer is going to be too boring compared to the previous two ones. You already said like you went really deep into the topics of the episode. I would like to maybe say something not related to the ethics of the episode, but more into the language itself. I felt like this episode was, at least from the soldiers, it was easier to understand than previous episodes.
A lot easier.
Some previous episodes, I felt like it was too dirty, the accent of the characters. Like, for example, in the Waldo moment,
that one
I couldn't understand a word of some people. Like, they spoke really fast and not so clear.
Yes.
And these ones are more like easier to understand, in my opinion.
And you are right, actually.
It's American, this one?
Yeah, one is American accent. We're more used to American accent, socially, I mean, culturally speaking. And the second reason why I think it's so much easier, and maybe this is something to you too. Like you for example, you play games, so the vocabulary here could be similar to what you've been exposed to. And also at the same time, the problematics, the topics discussed are not complex. They never have like even maybe the psychologist, but it's not that complex. He's talking to a soldier, so you cannot be that elaborate with your language when you're talking to a soldier. So they never, without, of course, no mean to offend soldiers, but they don't use language as much as other professionals. And but yeah, so I think it's those two things, that you've been exposed to a lot of that culturally speaking, and they're not talking about complex ideas, so it's easy to follow. But yeah,
Other
you
thing
were
that
right.
got my attention is that, I don't know if you mentioned this before, but there is a song that is played in every season of the
Yeah,
show.
and I think we talked about this. Oh, but
Yeah.
I don't know if
Uh,
we've talked about this.
this episode has the same song. I mean, one of the soldiers, I think it was singing. It's the same song that in the first season, the girl who is riding the bike was singing
Yeah,
to.
sang in
Yeah,
front of
and
the contest.
yeah, and in the second season, I think it's someone in a karaoke. Yeah,
Yes,
is
in
singing.
the episode where they
White Christmas, I think it is.
Mm, is that
Or
the
not?
one where they rape? No, the woman kills the man and he's transmitting the. Is it White Christmas?
No, I
Yes,
think
it is White Christmas. It was Dan
it's
Harper. Yes, it is that one.
yeah. So that's other thing that got my attention, and I really like that song, and you will hear it in the next seasons too. It is present in every
Is it the
season.
one that the soldier is singing? The female
Yeah.
soldier sings. Yeah,
It's the only song in the
yeah,
whole
in
episode.
the
Like,
whole episode. Yes.
really short but noticeable. And
Have you ever paid attention to the lyrics of that song? Do you know what it says? I don't
It's-
remember. I've never paid
it's
attention.
not weird as you would expect. It's
Ah,
not
yeah.
as weird as you would expect. Like,
Yeah, I
it's
was
not
expecting a secret
apocalyptic or
message.
anything. No,
Oh, yeah,
it's just
yeah.
a
It's something
normal
very
song.
mind blowing in the middle of
Uh-huh.
those lines. Yeah, but
It's just
no.
a normal song, but
Yeah.
it's present in every episode.
Yeah,
So,
good data. But you liked,
and
anyways, you liked the episode?
this is not my first time watching the episode because I watched before, but I think the first time I watched it, I watched all the previous episodes, and those are all really good. Like,
Yes.
the previous two are mind blowing. So by that time, I thought it was not that good, but this time it got, like, I understood it differently, and I thought it was really like, what I like about this episode is that it is not something so far from actual reality. Like, it wouldn't take that much to create something like that and apply it.
Yes.
Like,
It's
it's
very
not
likely
in a
to happen.
different world or anything. It's like
Yeah.
just how things are right now, but with a little help of the technology. And as they say before, the problem in this episode, or what's like more like impactful, is that
Talking?
I feel like the problem in this episode is related to humans, not technology. As Felipe, I think, said, that's like really interesting, in my opinion, at least.
Yes, and what I think it's even like it's also interesting about that idea is that okay, this episode is about people and not technology, and maybe that is why we don't have characters here, because it's not even about individual people like you and you and you. This, it could be any of us, or it is society. I think they're talking about society more than like minor ideas inside people. I don't know, bigger ideas as humanity probably. So yeah, I agree with you on that too, and thank you for the data, the data you share with us. But it was interesting. Thank you, Vito. Let's go with Felipe, and then we're going with Isaac, the new one. We're not forgetting about you. I haven't been able to say hi, but hi. Yeah, so Felipe, Isaac, you are Felipe's friends, right? Or no? Yeah. Yeah. So he will be giving you the entry here. Yeah. Okay. So Felipe, what about you?
For me, it was a good episode. I mean, it was a pretty impressive. I mean, in the way that they can show the narrative in the beginning because I didn't expect that the technology, I mean, could change our perception. Um, I thought that the roaches were humans. I mean, inside,
Yeah,
but I
infected.
realized that yeah. I mean, and they were humans
Yeah,
outside
and
and inside. So
yes,
it was pretty good. I mean, it was shocking. But yeah, I have like a kind of of something related to the narrative, to the sequence of the script that I don't understand. But for instance, when the female soldier follow so easily the main character and the female roach.
yeah,
So that kind of stuff was like a yeah, it was a good episode, but that kind of of, of gap, I think, in the history.
yeah.
I don't like it, but I mean, in the depth, yeah, it was pretty good, I think, and I think that I mean the ideology that we have. Actually, when we have a talk with Isaac about it, and actually is like kind of bias towards other people, you know, like yeah, you say that Nazis, for
Yeah.
example,
But
or
you don't have to be that extreme. If like,
yeah,
it's not necessary to think about
and
Nazis.
we
You can
don't
think
need
about
like
people who don't
kind
like
of
immigrants, black people.
yeah. I mean, you can actually think differently from other persons, but it's so far away that you put down the other person, or
You
you
dehumanize.
discriminate
You
other people. I mean,
dehumanize whoever is
that's
different.
yeah, but that's limit. I think it's important to reveal for ourselves. I think yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's the I one of the main discussions like I think we can have is about dehumanization. How
Yeah.
they literally dehumanize people here. They call it roaches.
And when we are like in the opposite, like when we see black and white things,
Yay,
for
that's
instance,
exactly the
yeah, I
idea.
mean, it's so easy when you look like I mean, a person who violate, okay, and they need to
You mean like rape?
to yeah, rape,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sorry. Then we need to put away from society, but some people, I mean, and I I do that, or I think that like that kind of scum, for example. And no, I mean,
That roach.
they are human beings, you know. So that are the human rights, you know. Everyone is like equally uh, important value, you know. So despite of the psyche of the person, but they're human beings, you know.
It's like
So
what we
we
were
are the same
discussing.
species. So
It's like we were discussing this the last time you were here, when we were talking about we all have the potential to become whatever we may fear.
mm,
They were once babies just like us. So it was like that idea is like society creates evil or is evil born. I think that is created by society. So I feel very I really agree with that idea that we have to be responsible for even for the roaches of our society, even for those ones that we think that maybe are not human or how can be human. They're part of us too. So yeah, and also we're going deeper into the black and white idea. I think that's where I want to rely the discussion. But before we do that, let's hear. Um, and for those students who don't want to talk, we are going to have questions soon. And now, for those who are just coming to this meeting, Isaac, I would like to hear you this time. What are your thoughts and reflections on the episode? Go ahead.
what could I say? Yeah, almost the same every
I ask you at the
every-
end, it's gonna be even more difficult.
So it's
Sorry.
you know what? It's the most terrified, the most horrified of this episode. You don't need this kind of the technology for do that. It's just social engineering. It's just you convince one people who the others once they are whatever other ones ethnical or whatever, they are less than humans for taking the responsibility or taking the sad feelings for just killing. I remember when I was teenager, when I was child, a TV show when Santiago Pavlovich, he interviewed another guy, and I remember very well because I feeling so bad. And the guy who Santiago Pavlovich interview is a guy who killed a lot of Serbian in a war.
Yeah.
And Pavlovich asked him, "You don't feel sad about that? You don't feel bad about that?" No, they're not human. They're Serbians. I don't feel bad.
That's correct.
So it's the same.
Serbia, that war?
Hmm?
It was in the context of the war of Serbia, Croatia, like
Yeah.
Balkanics. Yeah. Wow.
In this context.
Ah,
So I remember very well because it's like almost the same with this episode.
it's the same. It's like, because it's unbelievable when you hear about Hitler, for example, the big example. That's why I was like, we don't have to think about Hitler necessarily, because he's like the biggest example and the most unrealistic for someone like us to like believe that it actually happened. But it's happening now in this moment.
Yeah, it's social engineering.
Society in general, we see black and white, and actually that's where I want to lead the discussion now. I couldn't stop thinking about what I always discuss with my friends. We don't talk about politics here, but we do, but we don't at the same time. Like, we talk about politics because politics it's in everything, but at the same time we don't present political views. But I think I like most people, very progressive, most younger people, progressive, a little bit more lefty, if you want to call it. But I hate talking with my friends about left and right, whether you are left or right. How can we keep defining society with two concepts that were created 100 years ago? I think that nowadays we are all a little bit left and right in a weird mixture. And I constantly see this problem. Like, my friends who are 99.999% left side look at the right side as dehumanized. They always talk about fachos, like saying that they are something that is not human, that they are very bad people, that they only have bad intentions and bad purposes, and I don't agree with that. I have met people from the other side of the street who are very nice, even better than some people that I've met on my own side of the street. So I think that this is where this, as Isaac was saying, this could be done without technology. I think the technology here was essential to help you forget your crimes. It was essential to cope with the emotion and with the moral of killing other people and blah, 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 blah. But I think that we are killing roaches constantly, all day. It's just that we don't kill them in a literal way, in a figure, in, how can you say that, imaginativo, but not literally killing people, in a, I don't remember, way.
Figurative way?
Figurative, thank you. I couldn't remember the word, thank you. Or maybe there is another that is more precise, you know what I mean. So Gabi, question: do you feel like this polarization, constant dehumanization of whatever opposite you find in life is something that you also notice, or that you also see with your, I don't know, friends or people in general?
Yeah, I think, but in the episode, I don't, I don't feel this way because in the episode talking about DNA problems,
Yeah.
so I
Genetics.
think problem genetics. So I think if there are um, improve with the technology which is um, with this type of technology can work with brain, turn off the sense,
Yeah.
the smells,
Senses.
right. I think how this type of technology could um, serve to improve the A and no uh, genetics problems. I don't know. I think in this reality, on this future, the technology could serve to help people with these problems, with this illness or
Yes, but the
disease.
problem was that there was no illness. The problem was that there was no actual problem. But yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. Yeah, sorry. Continue.
Yeah, but it's in the people who murder in the episode. There aren't disease.
Yeah.
There are problems with DNA. So these people could be have cancer or
Yeah.
could be have.
Yeah. That was the problem. I don't know if I understand. And now I see that I didn't see it from that perspective, that there was actually could be a genetic problem in them. But most of them were foreigners. So I thought that the problem was they were just foreigners, like they came from another country. Felipe, you wanted to? Sorry, Gabby. Before I let you, Gabby, are you done?
One soldier said that back home there were millions of roaches, and they
Back home,
clean
there were
their
millions.
yeah,
So
and they clean their own country.
so it's not about foreigners. It's about
And
people.
they were talking that they were taking too much time in this foreign country, and back home was
Yeah. But they also did it in their own country. So it's not about countries. It could be about genetics then. Actual genetics differences. Yeah? Sorry. You
yeah.
wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think that it's essential that we accept that maybe we can cure cancer by killing all the people that have cancer. Assume, because it's not scientifically proven that will end cancer. But if we assume that, how many of us will be willing to, like the villagers, to condemn that people? And maybe to condemn people will find more easily, but to kill the people, not everyone will do the same, even if they know they have cancer.
Even if they know that it could be for a greater purpose.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's like
Machiavellian.
yes.
It's yeah. I was thinking of your idea. Horrible, very effective idea of how to eradicate a disease. Kill them all. I love it. But yeah, it could be. Now I think it could be like when they say that if you kill all, I don't know, all rapers or all criminals, criminality or criminalism or delinquents would stop. But of course it wouldn't, because you never know. And it's the same. Okay, here it's not the same, but the same idea. Maybe we don't do it. Maybe it's in us. Maybe it's a natural thing of allow the cells to evolve into something weird. And I don't know, but yeah. So I was confused the whole episode, that I thought it had nothing to do with genetics. It was just a made up story, and it was all about immigrants. But no, maybe I'm biased with immigrant discrimination, that I cannot stop thinking about that. And it reminded me a little bit of a great movie called Children of Men. I don't know if you've seen it. It's awesome movie, and it was about immigrants too. So I was a little bit confused, but it reminded me a little bit of that. So yeah, just wanted to make a comment. Gabby, you were perfect on your contribution. Just wanted to everybody, let's congratulate Gabby. You did great. See, it works. Yeah, perfect. So I would like to hear other opinions here. I don't know if any of you would like to add to the discussion, or you rather me asking you questions. Vito, go ahead.
Just would like to add that if you try to find a justification for discrimination, I'm sure you will find it, no matter if it's like genetics or anything. But if you decide that you want to discriminate, you will most likely find a reason to. Like, even now, if you think I think some races of people are more likely to get different diseases or something like that, but that doesn't mean that they are inferior. It's just that they are different. But in this case, I agree with you. Like, I think it's more like an excuse to be able to do what they want to do, more than a real reason to do it.
Yeah, because even if it's a real reason, like, you take away the I don't know, the free will of people to, I don't know, choose the life you want to live or who you want to mate with. They talk about reproduction. Like, the problem was that people would have kids, and the problem would continue. But what if I want to have a kid with that person? It would be like, you don't have I don't know, disabled kids, because they'll be disabled and they will reproduce later and reproduce the disability. But what if I want to have a disabled kid? So yeah, I agree. Like, it's easy to find differences. The hard thing, I think, it's to find similarities, or to notice how many similarities there are among us instead of the differences. And I agree with you on this. Even people, I think, even people who are not, or who claim not to be, I don't know, racist, or that they do not discriminate people, and that is wrong. That most of our people our age, we all grew in a society where discrimination was prohibited. Even bullying is a thing now that it wasn't back then. But still, if you take a closer look, you realize that they do discriminate somehow every time. I say this thinking of my friends, how much they hate cuicos, for example, and how much discrimination they use against them, and they don't even know them. So yeah, Felipe, what about you? Do you see these issues happening in your life normally, these types of discrimination, things that could lead a society to something like this? What? We cannot hear you, just in case.
Okay. No, I was talking about that, yeah, because they're two Felipe.
Yeah, but I was looking at you.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, no, I forgot the distinction. But I was just talking to the other Felipe, so it was you.
Yeah. No, for me, I mean, it's a real problem. I mean, I'm agree with you, and actually, I was like into left radical political side in my 20s, I think.
We were all radical back then.
Especially in 2011.
The protest with the
but as the time goes by, I think I realized that actually we are human being. Actually, I am a Christian, so yeah, for me it's a big problem because I am against abortion. But I mean, I have a biological, justification for that. But I mean, is another is
The discussion
another
is another.
discussion, I think. But I put that kind of discussion, and I can't even talk about it. It's like a wall in the
Yes,
other in the other
cancelled
person. It's like
ideas.
but let's discuss, and I'm like now in the left side. I mean, in the economical way or perspective, like a more a Keynesian, so yeah, for me, like it's a big problem because in my I was like a very fond of Boris, for example, because
Mhm.
yeah, I could like uh, know a little bit of him. So yeah, he's like a good person, I think.
I agree.
But there are so many people who attack because he firm or sign, that kind
Agreements, because that's
of
how
yeah,
the
of
world
agreement.
functions.
And like no, I mean, it's like it's one
Cancel,
way to
cancel.
yeah to give like the the aperture, I think, or the opening to a new constitution. I mean, and it's
Yes.
okay, and it's a political decision,
And we have to consider
uh,
the others, even those we don't like. They're part of the
yeah,
decision too.
yeah.
We have to
I
make
mean,
agreements.
and Jose Antonio Cas, I mean, I don't like him at all,
Who does?
but I mean, it's like the last bad thing in the radical right that we have in South America. I mean, he's not
Yeah,
compared like a Bolsonaro, for example, even other people, or Trump.
yeah.
He's more
We're,
decent, and it's
I think,
Casiches also
sorry.
talk. I mean, he's a good person, and he's very sympathetic when you go into him,
And he actually
so
worked in poor areas. Like he had, like he's part of
yeah,
the UDI Popular, Real Popular. So he, of course, he is not popular. No, he's cast, but I mean that he's been there, maybe more than others. And I agree with you. I agree on and like I think we in Chile see these differences, but we don't notice that. I think we, especially Chile, is like the softest. We're all in the middle. Even the right wing, and it's like the United States. Even the right wing and the left wing are not that wings. They're pretty closed. And maybe that is why actually Chile has been able to move, economically speaking, in a very advanced way compared to our neighbor countries who've been discussing topics, especially with social topics, for longer, but with no agreements. And we've been able, I think it was probably dictatorship and the fear that we have from dividing again, what has been making us reach agreements. And I think that as a society, we have to reach many agreements to stop discrimination, which is what we need. For example, Isaac, I don't know much about you, but what do you do for a living? So maybe I can lead the discussion into your area.
I used to be tour guide. For this reason, when Felipe invited me for join this in this meeting, I'm very glad because my English is very oxidate right now.
Yeah.
So, well, I used to be a tour guide, but also I work like tour guide too, but for students for high schools, basic school, like a cultural guides, cultural
Yeah.
circuits in Valparaiso. I doing artistic performance too in public transportation in Valparaiso in
Yeah.
trolleybuses.
Yeah.
It's like a storyteller, but with a character, with like a 19th century character,
Yeah.
and doing that for tips.
Yeah. I understand.
Yeah, but
Like,
no,
keep it
no,
old-fashioned. I get it.
but no anymore because he's in quarantine now.
Pandemic.
Yeah. So, but now, right now, I am I just in, how you say, like a grocery shop
Yeah.
in the morning.
Yeah.
Just like a mid-time job, mid-time job in a grocery shop.
Part-time job.
Part-time, yeah.
So you work with people, basically. You work with people.
Yeah.
That's in different areas, people. So as a tour guide,
Yeah.
I was thinking that you maybe could provide some perspective on culture. You've seen foreigners, because you work with foreigners, right? I don't know, speakers of English of different countries, a lot of Chinese people, Americans, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Was this event of like constant, could you notice somehow discrimination or these types of ideas, like even this type of discrimination that is like camouflage discrimination in other
Like a subtle
yeah,
discrimination?
like undercover discrimination?
Well, the most of the people who taken tour in Valparaiso is for foreign people who taken tour in Valparaiso is more open. So it's more interesting, more open for hear about the culture, because the other people, for example, and other people who don't take a tour in Valparaiso, just take a tour in Viña del Mar and in the vineyards. Don't
Casablanca and Viña.
Yeah, Casablanca, the vineyards, this just interesting in wine and pass a good time and nothing else, and don't interested because
only did that. Many of my students were like that. I'm sorry, but they were good people anyway. No, so my students, I used to teach Spanish to speakers of English, and most of the gringos that came to, I was living in Viña, they did exactly what you were saying. The tour in the vines, in the vineyards, and the tour on Viña. I never went to Valparaiso.
But sometimes, for example, sometimes when they're taking a tour in a group, sometimes in the group there are people who don't interested in Valparaiso, but just it's because it's in the group. So in the beginning, like the face is like what a boring, was like a poor areas, and some people, for example, Brazilian people in a group, there are a few. The leaders of the group, they are very happy, but some of them they are like but when they know Valparaiso, they realize it's not like, because some people, Brazilian people, for example, who don't know Valparaiso, some of them they think they thought I was thought it's like a favelas, because you know a lot of hills, a lot of hills, a lot of but you know it's totally different. Of course, Valparaiso have a lot of working class area. Basically, all Valparaiso is working class area, but you know it's charming.
You don't make tours in those areas. You don't take people for a tour. You take them to.
Actually, sometimes in some kind of tours.
It wouldn't be but those are extreme tours. Extreme.
Yeah, like for example, but not, of course, not in Montedónico, not in
Quinto Sector
Coyayancha, no, but some kind of another kind of working class area, like for example, Polanco, Polanco, Cerro Monja, some colorful working class, but not dangerous.
Yes, but yeah. So, but you would never take the group to dangerous places, of course. Like, I think no one, or maybe dark tourism it could be, but normal tourism don't do that. So, but people, of course, you have prejuicios, like bias on the ideas that you have from the country, from the city, and from the neighborhood. So you have like 3 variants there that can affect you. Whether you think that Chileans are, I don't know, thieves, which is commonly the idea we are discriminated by, that we are thieves, which is, we have a thief president, so why wouldn't they think that? And then that Valparaiso is extremely nasty, dirty, and dangerous, and that people in Valparaiso are, especially Choro Porteño, dangerous. So you have those 3 bias on people, and of course, I mean, I would at least I feel afraid. But do you think that they could have even not that obvious? Like, I think those could be likely situations you could tend to feel discrimination towards the people or the city.
Could you slow down, please?
Yeah, sure. No problem. No problem. So do you think, or were you able in your work, were you able to notice or to realize, to see other forms of discrimination, even more subtle, like, I don't know, subtle discrimination against darker skin, maybe? Or I don't know, cultural things that we do as Chileans that people tend to feel like the rejection to foreigners?
Between foreigners, or
No, or between
Chileans?
them, or with us, or from us to them, from any perspective you want to see it.
Well, some curious things I note is when, for example, when I typical group of gringos, you know, blonde, blue eyes, there are some people in Gil Alegre, in Gil Concepcion,
Gil Alegre.
the handcraft,
Happy Hill.
Happy Hill, yeah, los artesanos, the handcrafters,
Yeah.
they're offered more often
And more expensive.
than they offer more often, like a more bias. But when you pass, you talk, sorry, you walk with a group, with like a Latin group, like there are no offer.
Yeah. Yes, that is very true.
It's total, but
Every
because
time, sorry.
they assume, because just because they are gringos, they have a lot of money. Not necessarily.
And that's taking advantage. That's discrimination. You are using a different price in a different service because you're nicer with someone that you think, with a bias, could be more likely to buy you, or that you can actually cheat, or like a trick. It's not cheating, or estafar. I forgot that word. Today is not my best day on vocabulary. And no one does. No one remembers the word estafar. I'm not feel so bad. But basically, they want to cheat on these people just because they think they're foreigners and they deserve it. I've heard that. I've heard that lies, gringos, scam. But that was Google. Okay, but yeah, thank you. They could scam these people with this, and it's okay because they're gringos. Why? Why is it okay? Yeah, every time I went out with gringos, I did a lot when I lived in Viña, and every time I went out with gringos, I was treated in a different way by waiters, or by people, or by the taxi. Everyone was nicer when I was surrounded by beautiful blonde people. Even I felt nicer. It was like, oh my goodness, I like myself even more around these people. But yeah, at the same time, it's like we look at them in a good way, but we act with them. We try to scam them. We try to take advantage of them, somehow take advantage. That was the word.
I remember when an Indians group, or in a private tour with Indians guy. Indians is sometimes they're not more evident. They are foreigners, foreign people. They're just like us, or like people in the south, like a a little bit more dark skin. But a lot of people in Chile is like this.
Yeah.
So with Indians sometimes just happens like a you are Chilean. They speak in English, but people the waitress or the handcrafter speaking in Spanish because they don't believe they are foreign people.
Come on, answer in Spanish. That was funny. And yeah, and besides, this have this very strong accent, and it's definitely like it's easier. I see why they would feel like you are cheating, right? You are not American. But yeah, they are. Yeah. So, everyone, is anybody else here in need or wants to share another idea, reflection, thought before we finish? No? Okay, I think,
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
I think it's very important to differentiate, discrimination about maybe comments or errors from human,
Yeah, of course.
from
Of
us. I
course.
mean, yeah, if I saw a blonde girl or
And say
white
hello.
girl, maybe, or that kind of, or the way that she is dressed, I can tell maybe, or I can perceive, like a kind of a status, economic status,
Yes.
but yeah, it's not a discrimination, as the same as Christian people. I mean, I laugh when I saw or when I see, for example, Violento Parra, when he's laughing about the evangelical people. Yeah, I mean, go ahead, it's okay, it's all right, because I mean, we have so many things that we must laugh about us, because in sometimes, I mean, we are like a kind of radical, and we have to you know to to put all that bad stuff in a good way, so it's okay, in some cases, that we must laugh ourselves at ourselves, or at
From ourselves.
yeah,
We can laugh, yeah,
yeah,
of
so I
ourselves.
think, yeah, and not to be like some kind of see that like a rigid,
Yeah,
frame,
literate structure.
yeah, I think that is bad for the human
I
relationship.
agree. I agree with the fact that it's okay to see our differences, and I think the problem only comes not when we see differences, for like you were saying, like evangelics, for example, or I don't know, here that you can I can see the differences between someone from from Jose Antonio Cast and myself, and I see physical differences, and I see psychological differences, and moral differences, and ethical differences, and it's okay. And I think that's the point. It's okay to be different.
And that's
I
the
don't
beauty
see,
of diversity.
and that's the beauty. And I mean, for example, I remember I once, it was, this is real. I once dreamt, I was like 15. I dreamt with Felipe Cas, and we were together as a couple. No, it was with Jose Antonio. My father used to watch. It was the beginning of his career, and I don't know why. I decided that he would be my boyfriend, and we had a lovely dog in my dreams. And I remember he wasn't that popular or hated back then, and I contacted him on Twitter, and I sent him a Twitter telling him that I dreamt about this, that it was nice. I never hated that much Felipe Jose Antonio Cast, and he was very nice in his reply. He said that the brand of the dog that we would get, and that we would be very happy together. And he was very nice. And I still, of course, see the difference. I saw the difference back then. I see them now, but I think it's okay for him to be different. Now the problem is when you see the difference and you act based on those the judgments you made on those differences. I think that's the problem when we judge others. We can all be judged and judge others, but when we act based on those judgments, on those biased, is when we are where we are now. Oh, I think maybe where we've always been. This is very, I bet Platon and Aristoteles and all his crew thought about all this, and we haven't been able to solve this problem because maybe it's something that happens in society. But every day we work on making this world a better place. So, people, everyone, thank you so much for joining us once more. It was a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for your contributions, and big hugs, free of COVID because I'm vaccinated, to all of you. Take care. Kisses and hugs. Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Alicia. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye, everyone.